You mean do that?
Hey, that's how you have to do it. I have to say, I tried to clap or not clap and start recording, and on the back end, it took me freaking hours to do. So I'm like, guys, I just have to do this every time now.
Yeah. They do that. They do that with acting too. They go,
yeah. It took me a second to actually figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah.
And being a noob coming into the space, there's a lot of trial and error that you have to go through. Of course, I'm assuming you probably have similar experiences in the comedy world. But for those that have now tuned in, probably wondering what the hell is going on, welcome to the Guestless Podcast. I'm sitting here.
It's good to be here
with a comedian and artist, branding out himself.
Do it all.
I'm sitting here with Brady Matthews. I came across Brady. It was kind of ironic. I went and saw him at the Don't Tell comedy show. And then a week later, he was opening for Dimitri Martin. I was like, man, I have to talk to this guy. This guy is crushing it out here in Las Vegas. You're the second comedian to come on. I'm a huge comedy fan, so it's an honor and privilege.
I'm honored because Butch Bradley is someone I look up to. I've known Butch since the Hollywood days of doing stand-up comedy. So we're kind of old dudes in the comedy scene, but I think we got sick of the LA comedy scene. We just got sick of the politics in LA. I'm a Comedy Store regular. So is Butch. I'm pretty sure he is. And, we did that. We did that. And now I know in Vegas, they have so many great rooms here too. It's like, you kind of want to get your feet wet in a different environment. Be around just kind of different people.
Yeah, but Butch had mentioned out here, it's a little bit of a different scene because of the transient nature of Vegas and also all of the hotels, and they're booking like the top level talent.
Yeah.
So the local scene's a little bit different because it's a different level of competition, especially with some of the different comedy rooms that are out here. Like Butch is at the LA Comedy Store where he's the headliner, and it's a little bit more localized compared to like where I saw you open up for Dimitri Martin over at the Win, which looked like a very incredible experience.
It was great. That's my third time doing a theater that big. Because I did like a Seattle comedy competition and it was not as packed as that, but it was pretty intimidating. Also, I had to introduce myself at Dimitri Martin's show. Did you hear that? That was me.
You introduced yourself as Dimitri Martin?
No, I introduced myself to bring myself on stage. Because they didn't have a...
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, they didn't have a Sound of God guy. So I was like, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Brady Matthews. And they're like, because they didn't have a guy, and they go, well, do we know anyone that can do it? And I go, I got it. I can do it. I know what I'm fucking doing. I go, if anyone knows how to introduce himself, it's probably me. So, yeah, it was cool. It was definitely one of the best experiences I've had in a long time. And especially getting my feet wet out here with Don't Tell Comedy, which they're just complete sweethearts. They're a fan of mine, and they've done so much for me. I'm doing Life is Beautiful.
I saw that. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. So through them, again, AEG now saw me and they said, we saw your set. Do you want to come? We have one spot for locals. We want you to do it. And I said, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. So
have you ever been to Life is Beautiful before?
I haven't. No, I heard it's incredible. My lady actually worked it. But she said it's like people are just tweaking out to what fucking 7 a.m. Like, I don't know, like the rave stuff. Like
Life is Beautiful is a crazy concoction of individuals, especially afterwards, because the entrance to Life is Beautiful is right at the end of Fremont East, where like Commonwealth and all of these new bars are.
Yeah.
So right when you walk out, when it ends, it's a combination of Life is Beautiful, which is all ages, people from out of town.
Yeah.
You got ravers, you have rockheads, you have hip hop enthusiasts, and then you're on Fremont Street with just the weird, the weird circle of people that exist there between homeless and, and all ages.
They see them coming out and they're like, fucking catch up to where we're at, motherfuckers. Right? You guys are pretending, we're doing, motherfucker. It's funny too because they all go and the bars are still open.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they even stay open later. Every Life is Beautiful I go to, I'm usually out Fremont East till like 5 a.m.
That's insane.
Oh, it's tough.
I can't remember the last time I've been out till like 4 a.m. drinking. Probably when I was like fucking 32, 33. I don't know.
Well, I say that isn't that generally a comedy thing to do? Is after your set, you hang out with the comedians and you drink until wee hours in the morning, sleep an hour, and then take your flight and hate yourself.
Back in the day, we always smoked cigarettes and drank and do drugs, and now we go home early because we all have babies and we have most of my friends work on shows now on TV. So we hang out for a little bit, and then no one really drinks anymore. We all, have like some soda waters and laugh. Like there's like 2 buddies that still smoke weed and like we're like whatever. And then we all are in bed probably like around like 1 o'clock, 1 o'clock, depending on when our spots are. But that's the best about stand-up comedy is you always run into someone that you had a great memory with doing comedy. Like you're always like, oh shit, dude, remember when we did this spot and we did that, and you can sit and talk about that for a couple hours, and you go home back to your lady or whatever.
At least you can use that as an excuse, because out here in Vegas, people just want to party consistently.
For sure.
How long have you lived out here now?
I've been here for a little under a year.
Okay, so you haven't hit that peak acclimation point where you're just like, all right, I'm going to stay in Vegas forever. It's generally about what I've noticed is it's generally about the 2-year mark. If you're here for at least 2 years, then you're probably here forever.
I don't know. We'll see. We love our house. We want to get a pool. It's in the arts district, and as you know, I do art too. So I'm going to be doing a gallery showing probably in December. I'm working on a bunch of new pieces right now. It's called 90s art or 90s rock and rap. So I'm doing like Tupac to like I don't know, like Guns N' Roses to like just a bunch of crazy shit. So so I'll be doing a gallery showing probably like in November, December. But I like it here. I like the art scene. I like the arts district. I like the people are really sweet. Back in LA, like you go order a coffee and you're like, how's your morning? And they're like, what? And you're like, never mind. You're like, it's just nice. It's kind of refreshing. It is refreshing. And also you see normal like interaction with people. In LA, it's always like people are doing nice things for each other just because they know they can get something in return. You know what I mean? Here, people are actually genuinely like yourself. You're genuinely interested in the business, in the industry. You're there to learn, and you're there. I can help. And also maybe in the long run, you can be like, remember when I helped you with this or this or that. But that's the thing I like about living out here. Yeah. It's just a rad area.
You'll learn Vegas is probably one of the smallest big cities around.
Yeah.
We do have a population of about 2.5 million, but there's only maybe a network of maybe 5,000 or so that are actually like doing something in the entrepreneurship space or creator space. And once you start meeting a handful of those people within the circles, you realize that everyone knows each other. Yeah.
And also the good thing too about doing a podcast, is you meet all kinds of people because you talk to everybody, right?
Yeah, the whole variety between casinos owners, politicians, comedians, content creators, pretty much anyone out here in Vegas.
You know what I would love like to listen to if you get to interview anybody that actually hung out with like any of the mobsters. Do you ever talk to any of those people, or have you ever met any of those people?
I hear some remnants from them. There's been a few mob affiliate people on Jonathan Jostle's podcast.
Yeah.
He's the CEO,
Plaza.
Yeah, the CEO at the Plaza. He's had a few of those in the older space.
I love that picture of the Plaza with that swimming pool.
Yeah.
With like in the 70s and 80s, dude. I'm like, that shit was the best back then, right? Mom's smoking a cigarette. Your dad brought a cooler of beer. You're in the pool. Like, everyone's just running around the pool. Someone could probably fall off the side of the building, but you know what? That's the 80s. You know what I mean? Like, fuck it.
Well, there's definitely no security back then. That's when MGM had that crazy fire where there was like 50, 80 people died just because they had one stairwell in the entire hotel.
Terrifying.
That's the 70s for you.
That's crazy. But I mean, that's the shit that intrigues me here too, is just the culture.
Yeah, we're on the foundation of culture right now. I've had dozens of conversations surrounding it. And that's why I'm very interested on how you found the arts district, because I moved down here a year ago because I felt like this is where the culture of Vegas was being built.
Yeah.
The Strip has its own culture, and it's kind of like morphing into this corporatism, which a lot of people hate, nickel and diming their customers, convenience fees, all this other bullshit.
Yep.
So a lot of people have started to move down to the downtown area and then the arts district, where there's an absence of gambling.
Right.
And more of an imprint of art, which allows people to,
Yeah. Well, I think the art community is more of, in LA is like downtown. And I lived in West Hollywood. So to get to downtown took about an hour and a half. So you're lugging your pieces down there and it's a pain in the ass, or you can get like a studio down there. And also down there, it's trash. It's like, it's sad what is happening in California with how they're just destroying all the cities. Like the LA looks like shit. San Diego looks like shit. The homeless population is out of control. I was like, dude, I mean, the homeless population is what it is here, but it's like, you don't see people aren't like taking a dump in your parking spot when you're just trying to go to work like they did in West Hollywood. That's a true story. I went out to my fucking parking spot. Guy was taking a dump right behind my car. And I was like, dude, I got to go to work. Like, speed it up. You know what I mean? Like, let's go. And he's like, I ate too much last night. And I'm like, fucking move. I'm not making, I swear to God. And so I was like, I told my my lady, I was like, because we're having a baby, and I was like, let's get out of here. So I was looking around to see where's a good arts district, and Miami is a really good one, but it's crazy expensive for the amount of money that we were looking to spend. So I saw Vegas, and I was like, ooh, Vegas has a really cool kind of vibe that's happening. It's an arts district, but also everything is dedicated to the arts. You can put your stickers here. You can put your art in this coffee shop. You can, like the Saturation Gallery is dope. So like the 18 bin, I did stand-up comedy, and then we went in and looked at my art, and then I went over to Artifice and did another stand-up spot, and then I went home. I was like, this is fucking perfect. You know what I mean? So my lady says to me, she goes, why don't you just pick one or the other? And I'm like, because I fucking love them both. And I was like, this is the place to be. So who knows? Maybe we'll be here for good. I don't know. What about you? You think you'll be here for good?
I've always considered myself an opportunist.
Are you originally from here?
I'm born and raised. Only about 25% of the population of Las Vegas was born in Las Vegas. So very transient town. I'm very bullish on the city. I see it growing. I'm networking in the tech space. I'm very involved in the crypto industry out here.
You like the crypto? See, I'm way too stupid even for that stuff out. I swear to God, I'm still trying to figure out how to break up like a 20 bill. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'm like, is it 10 of 5 and 5 ones or what is it? Crypto to me is just like, it's for you that
I've been involved in crypto since early 2017, and I was immediately just enamored by the space, and within a week I just had the strongest conviction in my life that this was going to be the currency of the future. So I was taking half of what I was making at Omnia and just buying Bitcoin for like 2.5 years.
No shit.
Yeah. So then once it hit this most recent bull run, sold some off and quit Omnia and just pursued this full time. But
no kidding.
I've been working with UNLV and a bunch of other public and private entities to kind of accelerate adoption out here. We had a meetup. We've done 2 meetups now with about 50 attendees each time. So it's really growing, but it feels weird when you're kind of in a lane of your own. Yeah. It feels like you're just yelling into a dark abyss.
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. There are people like me that notice people like yourself out here making moves, and it just takes a little bit to get that, that ball rolling, and then suddenly it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Another podcast that I love, a buddy of mine named Sam Tripoli. He's a Vegas native.
Yes.
Do you know Sam?
Yes, I've watched a bunch of his comedy.
Oh, he's great. He's like one of my good buddies, and I'm a big conspiracy theorist guy.
We could dive in some conspiracy theories.
Love them all. I'll fucking tackle them all. I don't care. I look crazy, but everything that's kind of conspiracy theory-ish is kind of fucking happening as we speak. But Sam started with tinfoil hat, and I asked him, I said, should I keep doing my first podcast? He goes, yeah, dude. He goes, do that one and do another podcast and then do another podcast. He's got like 15 fucking podcasts, but they're all starting small and people don't really know about them, but that's okay. You just keep going.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You can't sit there and look back and go, well, is this good? Is this not good? If you like doing it and you love doing it and you're seeing somewhat of a return and it brings you happiness, keep fucking doing it.
So I like to call, instead of calling myself a podcaster, I like to call myself a social investor.
Great.
Because that's kind of how I see it.
Totally.
And it just opens access to pretty much anybody. Because the issue that I was facing when I started this show in April of 2020, about 2 weeks into the pandemic, I was like, the world is about to shift dramatically.
Big time.
Everyone is moving onto the internet. They're spending more time on the internet. And I need to find a way to network with people somehow. And so when I would reach out to people online, whether they're an influencer or an expert in a field, just ask them a question, nobody would respond. But when you tell them, hey, I have a podcast, they're like, here's 3 hours of my time,
sure.
and I'll help promote it as well.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Because also, whether you know it or not, there are people listening to this. There are people that tune into it. People are sitting in their cars more often. People are working at their shitty jobs more often. Like, when I was delivering groceries, I was delivering groceries like 6 years ago, and podcasts just started picking up. I was listening to like tinfoil hat, like every single one that came out. Like I was listening to Joe Rogan, every single one that came out, but because I wanted to be on Joe Rogan, but not anymore. But like, people are always looking for more information or different interviews, or what if I want to find out about how's the art district in Vegas? I can just boom, look it up. It's right there.
Yeah. I had a gentleman who was a fan of the show actually buy a house in downtown Vegas because of how much we talk about it on the show.
No kidding.
It's a cool experience. And my friend's like, how do you feel being an influencer? And I was like, I guess kind of is.
It's great though.
Like, whoa, yeah.
It's great though. And you'll just get bigger and bigger and bigger and smarter and smarter and smarter. And then also you get more connections. And I think that's the cool thing about being in Vegas too, is there's so many walks of life that are coming in and out of town every week that you have just like a surmountable amount of guests that you can have on here.
That's
you know
what I mean? That was
you
my
meet someone downstairs and they're like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, I have a Fortune 500 company. Want to go upstairs and do a podcast real quick? Bam.
That was the initial idea. It's like, because there's about 40 million people who visit here a year. So I was like, I could potentially have 40 million guests. Because before I started, the issue in Vegas, and I thought about the idea of this podcast in 2018. And as I was watching Joe Rogan and Tim Ferriss and these other guys, I was like, why is there no like Joe Rogan Vegas podcast? There's no dominant talk show out here that talks with people of Vegas. There's a lot of people who like to talk about Vegas and the Strip. And there's hundreds of thousands of people who watch that very intensely. You see accounts like Vital Vegas and Las Vegas locally that just get blown up.
Yeah.
And
do they really?
Yeah. So I actually had Scott Robin on here. He runs Vital Vegas. He's like the top.
What is the Vital Vegas?
Vital Vegas is his brand. He's the top Las Vegas blogger, rumors guy. He breaks like casino sales. And so he basically is like the direct channel for Vegas Twitter and all the tourists. And he has over 100,000 followers.
Wow.
And he's one of the only guests that I had on here where I received blowback or pushback from people.
Why?
Because when you're somebody who's just like breaking rumors and breaking news, you're not going to be on everyone's favorite side, especially if it's something very intense like the Tony Hsieh death and like some of the externalities that were surrounding
Who's Tony Hsieh death? What is that?
You don't know who Tony Hsieh was?
No.
R.I.P. Tony Hsieh was the founder of Zappos that moved out here.
Yeah.
And that whole controversy.
A friend of mine was very close with him.
And so he was one of the first people to not only break the death, but break that there's more to the story than just what's meeting the eye. And a lot of people...
Didn't he die in a house fire?
In a house fire, candle, yeah.
Yeah, quote unquote. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so so when you're somebody like that, there's going to be a lot of people that hate you because maybe one rumor out of 10 is off or is... Yeah,
or
like
people
controversial.
Are like, let him rest in peace, dude, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, well, I don't know. It smells like shit. It's probably shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I heard the story and they said he died in a house fire, and I was like, how is that even possible? Mm-hmm. Then they said he like did drugs or something. And
he was doing NO2 cartridges. He was doing whippets for a long. Is what the Rolling Stone or Washington Journal, one of those publications. Was talking about how he was doing that and ecstasy and a bunch of these other things.
Interesting.
But yeah, so there's been a lot of attention on the Strip of Vegas, but nobody ever focused on the local nature of Vegas.
Right.
I would say Vegas does a very good job at external marketing. Everyone knows Vegas. It's a name brand across the world. But the internal marketing of Vegas is absolutely abysmal.
Well, when I used to come here and black out with my buddies when I was like in my 20s and early 30s, I didn't know anything about our Arts District or Old Town Las Vegas or Fremont Street. Like that's where we found out like there was like crackheads and like where prostitution was okay or some bullshit. But all we were was like like Hard Rock Hotel, but now it's Virgin. That was like our jam. That's like where we used to go and party. But now that I'm here, I'm like, oh, there's so much culture. There's so much cool shit to see. There's so many fun little bars here or little like eateries or like. Even on here, like that Soul Belly Barbecue.
Yeah.
Place is bomb, dude.
Right in between two breweries.
Right. It's great. And they got music and everything. And I'm like, when it's not 1,000 degrees out, it's actually really nice.
It is. Have you ever been to First Friday?
I haven't, but I'm going to be showcasing some of my art there soon.
It's perfect. That's a perfect place to be. You get thousands of people. First Friday is actually the longest running event locally in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I heard it's just so much fun.
It's a blast. I always end up way too drunk at 3 a.m.
That's awesome.
It's generally it's such a good time. It's so good. But so I came on and decided to start this podcast and start networking with people. And I always felt like Vegas had a big entrepreneur network, but the issue was that it's always been very siloed. No one's really communicating with each other.
Right.
I've been going to these tech meetups that doesn't communicate with the marketers of Vegas, who doesn't communicate with the crypto people, who doesn't communicate with the startup incubators.
Is that what you guys are trying to do? Is get a open dialogue with each other?
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, so it's kind of been channeling through this show, which has been awesome because that's the amount of demand that I've received is nuts. Like I have to literally tell like dozens of people no, and I hate to be a gatekeeper.
No shit.
Yeah. So it's really been since the start of this year. I record 2 per week. I could easily do 3 or 4 just by the amount of people, but I just don't have that amount of time until I get some interns or some more money or some gremlins, whatever
totally.
it is.
Interns will totally help.
Yeah, that's where I'm supposed to be getting them from UNLV. So
how did you find them? Just put them on like a message board?
There's a program that the Liberal Arts College and the College of Journalism and Media do where the juniors or seniors can get credit for a class and serve as an intern for some sort of local company, and they can choose from the selection, and you have to give them 10 hours of work a week.
No kidding. So you gave this as like a company?
Yeah.
So did you certify this as a company or?
Yeah, it's I have an LLC under Jake Gallen LLC, but you don't necessarily have to. All they have to do is just believe in your mission if they think you're doing something.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it's
what is it under? Because I'll have them come hook my stuff up.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying. You can. One of my friends on here, Monica, that runs the Love Yourself Foundation, she was telling me she was getting like 7 or 8 interns a semester, and I was like, "Where are you getting all these freaking interns from? I need one of these."
UNLV message board, or
I could send you some links.
Send me some links.
I'll send you some.
Because I'll have one of these old tech kids come over and hook my stuff up, and then I'll have them run my board, and that way I don't have to worry about any of this crap. All I want to care about is just getting the guest and having good content. That's all
that's a frustrating part. But society evolves so fast now. It's like there's always new trends and there's new things that you have to do.
Yep.
You mentioned that you were a Comedy Store regular for a while.
Yeah.
Take us through a little bit of your early days of comedy.
Okay, let's see. I worked at the Comedy Store when I was like 25, 26.
Were you a front door man?
No, I was a phone guy. So Mitzi used to call up and be like, she used to call up and go, she used to ask for like Sam Kinison. She used to ask for Richard Pryor. She was out of her mind. She was like dying of, she had like dementia or something. She was just like so out of her mind. So I used to have to deal with Mitzi all the time. The place is haunted too, which is always crazy. So I was sitting in the Comedy Store room and I would just be answering the phones, and then suddenly just one of the doors would just slam super hard. I'm like, what the fuck is that? It's like broad daylight out too. I'm like, that's fucking creepy. So I worked there for answered the phones for like 2 years, and then they asked me to be a paid regular, but I had to audition. And so when I went to audition, I had a set. You only get like 3 minutes. So basically you have to say your name and do a joke and get the fuck out. And I did it in front of Mitzi. I mean, she was like, you're garbage. This sucks. I'm like, who? She goes, who do you think you are, Dane Cook? I'm like, that's kind of what I was modeling after. But then I found out that what Dane Cook does or did back then was pretty hard. So you got to start, with what you got. And then long story short, the booker was fucking with me. His name's Tommy, but he's not there anymore because he got in trouble for stealing money. So whatever, typical comedy booker. I was doing a late night spot, and Louis Anderson. You ever heard of Louis Anderson?
Yeah, he's a regular here too.
Yeah, he's a Vegas regular. Saw me, and he told the booker to pass me, and so finally they passed me. So that was great. And then that eggshelled, what am I talking about? That kind of the ball rolled into, I used to do a lot of impressions in my act. I liked doing impressions. It was a lot of my act. So I was auditioning for SNL for like 8 years. That was my goal. That's all I wanted to do was Saturday Night Live. And I would put in tape after tape after tape. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? What does it take to get on SNL? Because I'd see some of these guys. I'm like, they don't even do characters. You know what I mean? They don't even fucking do anything. So the last year I was leaving. I was done with LA. I was like, I'm done. I'll go figure something out. I would go do art full time, and I'll be happy with that. And so I sent in my last tape, right? And I had moving trucks in front of my place ready to go. And my agent calls me up and he goes, you want to go to New York? And I was like, yeah, sure. What's in New York? And he's like, SNL. I was like, shut the fuck up. And he goes, yeah. He goes, they loved your tape and they want you to come test. And I was like, no shit. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, wow. It took 8 years. 8 years. So like this,
8 years.
Keep going. I'm not saying, I'm sure you'll have better luck than me. Not gonna.
You just have to be consistent though.
Consistent. And if you want it, you just got to keep putting the work in. That's all it takes. That's it. If you really want it, you just have to put the work in. That's all it is. It's just hard work. People don't like to work hard. Not anymore. It just takes too long. It's too hard. Everything's hard.
They just want to buy Bitcoin and get rich.
I mean, yeah. Actually, I'm going to look into that. So anyways, I went to Saturday Night Live, and me and two of my buddies were testing, which was great. My buddy Andrew Santino and another kid, Ryan O'Flanagan. Anyways, I went in and did my shit, and it was the most nerve-wracking thing I think I've ever done in my life. I was terrified. Like, I was standing in the hallway. You've got pictures at Rockefeller Center of like Jimmy Fallon. You got like Bill Clinton. You got like Barack Obama. You got like all these like huge people. And you got pictures of Lorne Michaels. And you're about to go into this little hallway onto that famous stage and audition in front of Lorne Michaels, who can change your life forever. You're good to go. Went in, did my thing, and then never heard anything ever again. But it's okay, because then I sold the pilot and then almost got that made, got my good money for that. And then you get a good agent from that, and you get a good manager from that, which I all still have. Yeah, that was kind of a long story, or a short story, long story, kind of how my career was in LA. But now I'm here in Vegas, and I'm looking to be maybe a big fish in a small pond for a little while. I'm not done with LA, but I'm going to let LA chill out, because it seems like they're going to go back on lockdown. It's
kind of falling apart.
Dude, like, give me a fucking break. So I'm happy here because I get to meet people like you and normal people, which is nice, you know? And yeah, I mean, yeah, that's for the comedy scene here. I mean, it's been great. The Don't Tell People have been great. LA Comedy Club has been great. They've always, like, whenever I call up, it's like, feels like the Comedy Store. They just give me, 2 or 3 spots a week, and
every time I go there, I've never been to the Comedy Store, but it kind of reminds me of it, because some of the servers there are also people trying to get in the comedy scene. Yeah. So even the bartenders or the front door guys, they're all trying to get in the scene somehow. So it's like a giant family. Yeah,
it really is. And you know what? For a while there, it was fucking great. It was me and Chris D'Elia and Bobby Lee and like Sam Tripoli and Santino. We were all kind of nobodies, and I'm still basically a nobody, but it was all a family, and we all support each other. We all did each other's podcasts, and we all had, our YouTube shows or whatever. And now everyone's kind of gone their own way, and everyone's on their own shows, but we still talk to each other. We still support each other,
Back when you first started, could you ever imagine that comedy would blow up to be this big? Because right now it seems like comedians are kind of like the rock stars of podcasting and social media.
Yeah, it's crazy too, because a lot of celebrities want to do these podcasts. You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to do their movies. They want to do our shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's it's great. It's fucking great. Like Joe Rogan. Like, Joe Rogan was nobody before his podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one was like really tuning in.
He was the Fear Factor guy.
He was a Fear Factor guy, or he was like did some show in like in the 90s with like Andy Dick. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like
what was that show? He talks about it all the time.
It was something City or something like that, right? It was like I can't remember, but I don't know. So it's nice to see that comedy is kind of thriving. It does get very political with comedy now. But what isn't these days?
Yeah, that's why you have to leave LA. You have to find it. You have to be on the ground floor, and that's why you get to be on the ground floor here, where you don't have to necessarily. There are politics. There's definitely politics in the Las Vegas industry of the nightclubs and day clubs. Yeah, that's probably where it's most prominent. But out here in some of these emerging industries, there's no politics, so you get to be on the ground floor for it.
Well, the thing I like about here too is, from what I've learned in LA, I can bring here and not feel like a fish out of water. Like, I feel like I belong in any comedy club that I go into, or any podcast that I do, or any art show that I know that I stand on my own with my performance and with my art or whatever it is. So I don't feel intimidated. We're in LA. I remember you go up to the Comedy Store and they're like, "Do you want to go on stage?" And you're like, well, "I don't know." How much time do you need or have? Like, you don't know, because you're still fucking terrified, because it's Bobby Lee. You watch him on Mad TV. You love Mad TV. You want to be at Mad TV, but you're terrified. Like, your idols are up there. I remember one time I was on stage at the Comedy Store, and it was super late night, and someone was being loud in the back, and I go, "Dude, who the fuck do you think you are, Quentin fucking Tarantino?" And the guy goes, "I am Quentin Tarantino." I swear to God. And I go like this, and I go, "Oh fuck, it is Quentin Tarantino." And I go, "How are you, Mr. Tarantino? Can I call you Quentin?" Right? He goes, "Quentin." And I go, "Quentin?" He goes, "Quentin." And he goes, "Go to your next joke." And I'm like, "Fuck." Like, I'm never going to be in any of his movies. But the people you see and the experiences that you get at the Comedy Store is far, like, it's just the best experience ever. It is.
So now that you mentioned that you do art,
Yeah.
was that before comedy?
After.
Was it after comedy? But were you an artist at all in your youth?
No. I used to trace pictures. I used to like trace like Michael Jordan and like comic books and stuff like that. But I didn't really get into art. There was an artist that I really love. If you guys ever look her up, her name's Annie Priest. She's phenomenal. Like her art is just so fucking cool. And I remember I was using the bathroom at one of the comedy clubs, and there was a painting above the toilet, and I was like, it was like one of hers, and I was like, I think I can do that, something similar to that. So I took a picture of it. I went home and I started to paint it, and I just kept going. And I sucked at it at first. It was terrible, but I liked the process of getting your hands dirty and having paint on your hands. And I'd be out on my patio at like 3 a.m, just smashing glass and putting glue on the back of it and putting it on paintings or ripping up newspaper and using it as canvas. I didn't have money for canvases. So what I do is I go down to the dumpster and I would break like big TV boxes, the cardboard, and I would just make them look like a canvas, and then I would paint stuff on them, and I'd sell them for like $700 to $800.
Wow. And this just came randomly to you one day that you just wanted to paint? Maybe you're drunk and you just started smashing something together?
That was it, yeah. It was also another excuse to do Adderall and get wasted. That's the truth.
Adderall is really a super drug, though. I try to tell all my friends this.
It's worse than cocaine. I'm telling you right now. So you can't, to do both, you're super creative, but then the next day you want to fucking kill yourself.
In college, we used to call Adderall Diet Ecstasy.
Totally. It totally is. And also if you want to like get in really good shape, like, and you have somewhere to be in like 2 weeks, just Adderall it up, baby. Adderall, I'm not kidding you. You're not hungry. You take monster shits. It's great.
It's so true though. Yeah. That's funny, man. It's funny that before we started recording, I walked down to Golden Fog and Brady's taken one of his, it was like a sticker of one of his paintings.
Oh, I brought you stickers too. Yeah.
And smashing it right up there.
Yep.
I saw on your website that Arnold Schwarzenegger was one of your celebrity buyers.
Yeah.
How did that come to be?
Here, I give you Steve McQueen, Chris Farley, give you Braveheart.
Ooh.
Yeah. Old Chris Farley when he was super high on drugs, SNL. There you go.
Dude, these are awesome. I don't know if the camera can see these or not, but
yeah, these are all commissioned. These are all sold. The Steve McQueen one, you could tell I was on a lot of Adderall for that one. So I don't recommend it. We go to coffee now. But I did one for Schwarzenegger's, his charity, which was cool. So I did Jimmy Kimmel Live, and the girl, isn't it crazy how all this stuff just like,
he's also a Vegas native.
Is he really?
Yeah.
So anyway, we were sitting there talking, I was getting makeup done, and she was one of the PAs for Jimmy Kimmel. And she goes, we have to find like an artist for Schwarzenegger's thing, and he's looking for paintings of himself. And I go, that's so crazy. I just finished one of him. And she goes, are you serious? And I go, yeah. And I showed it to her. She goes, can I take a picture of this and show him? I was like, fuck yeah, dude, let's do it. So then she showed him, and then he goes, can we buy it from him? And then we'll auction it off. And I said, sure. So they bought it for like a couple $1,000, and it was great. And yeah, it's cool. Schwarzenegger, I did one for Schwarzenegger. Theo Vaughn actually put me on the map with my Chris Farley painting I did, which was cool.
Oh, I saw that was in the middle of one of his podcasts.
Dude, he used to do that. He used to put it in the middle of his podcast, and I would get hit up. I didn't even need a job for like 3 years. I didn't, because the power of the internet, the power of a hot podcast, you don't need a fucking job, because people need you to put their stuff in the background. Or you just plug it, you know what I mean? So he put my Farley painting in the background, and that painting blew up. It blew up. And so now I still to this day sell like 2 or 3 a week, and it's great. So
that is incredible.
Yeah.
How was it being on Jimmy Kimmel Live? From comedians that I listen to, they talk about how a lot of these like late night shows are kind of degrading in quality, and you don't really get as much exposure as you'd like. But it is a good kind of totem to signifying that you are somebody of a status, or that you're being looked at in some nature.
Well, I always wanted to do stand up on Kimmel, but it was really hard to do stand up on Kimmel. I always wanted to do stand up on Conan, and I got close, but they passed predominantly most of the time. James Corden, I was supposed to do stand up on there, but then they had like Puff Daddy come in and do something, so they bumped me. That was as close as I got, but I still always tried to get it in there. And I'm sure if I kept going, I would have got it one of these times, just like SNL. Just keep putting it out there, keep putting it out there. But never happened, which is okay. It's fine, probably for the best. Since back then, I think I'm way better than I was back then. But Jimmy Kimmel, I would just do sketches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like he had me dressed up as like Iron Man one time. You couldn't even tell it was me, but I'd always post like, "Gonna be on Kimmel tonight," because we're all super vain and insecure. So I had to let everybody know. But sometimes you get really good ones. Like I had a scene where it was like Victor's Secret instead of Victoria's Secret, and I had dressed up in women's lingerie, and it was it's online if you want to see it. So it was cool. Kimmel's cool. Kimmel's a good dude. But yeah, doing Kimmel was cool. What else? I did a Cinemax movie, which was called Femme Fatales, and I had to have a nude scene on the desk, which was cool.
A nude scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to put a cock sock on. I don't know if you've ever been through that. It's like putting like a condom on, but it's like a sock, and it's really sad. It's sad. Like, I wish I had a better story for it, but it wasn't that great.
He's on the Skinamax.
For sure. I was. Like stuff that you watch when you were a kid. Like, who would do this? Well, I did it. It was cool though, but like the director would be like, you know what, can we just have you like get into it more? And I'm like, bro, what do you need? You know what I mean? Like, if you wanted, why don't you do this? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Hollywood's funny. Would I say I miss doing the acting stuff? Nah, I don't think I really miss it all that much. I think I get more enjoyment out of doing live comedy.
Are there any comedians that you draw inspiration from?
Oh, dude, a ton. I love Fahim Anwar, one of my favorite comedians.
It's pretty funny.
You know Fahim?
Yeah, he had a Netflix special.
Yeah.
It was Netflix's recently.
Yeah, and then he had a show on Comedy Central called GOAT, so I know all those guys. Aristotle Aetherius, who actually shot my SNL thing for me, who is now auditioning for SNL. Musa Villasenor, actually one of very good friends of mine, who's in SNL now, killing it. We did a video like 8 years ago before we were nobodies. It's pretty funny. I'll have to show it to you. It's just weird seeing all your friends that you grew up with. They're all making it. And does it make me sad or jealous? Not really, because I wouldn't kind of have it any other way. I love doing art. I love doing comedy. I make good money doing both, and I'm happy. And I got a baby girl, and I live in a great area. Like,
yeah, you ventured out of the standard comedian model of just having a podcast and just doing stand-ups. You get to do art. I don't know any other comedians or I'm aware of that actually does art as well as a secondary profession.
Thanks. I don't either. So, maybe I'm onto something, but
maybe you need to integrate it into your act somehow, kind of like how Dimitri Martin does it with the drawing board or drawing pad.
It's funny you say that, but I've really thought about it, and I just fucking have no clue how I would do it, because to do one of those paintings for real sometimes takes like 2 weeks, sometimes it takes 6 months. I've been working on an Audrey Hepburn painting for this guy that he needed like 3 months ago, and I'm trying my fucking hardest. It's hard. This shit's hard. Like, to make it look great, to make it look perfect the way I want it. Unfortunately, I'm a perfectionist. So if I don't like it, you're not going to get it. That's just the way it goes. Until I get it, for me to look good the way I like it, then you can have it. But I look at it as like a piece of art, or like a piece of work, So you wouldn't just turn in some shitty scripts or some shitty picture or something, because that's on you. That's your name, You
could tie it into your act somehow. Maybe from the...
See, you would know how to do it?
I sit here and try to brainstorm ideas all the time. Sometimes they're really bad. Sometimes they're a little bit on the better side. Yeah. But it's like coming up with a name for a business or for the podcast. It took me legit probably 6 months to come up with a name for this podcast.
No shit. What did you have before this name?
Oh my God, they were terrible. It was like Vegas Vacation, Vegas Originals.
I like that. I do like Vegas Vacation.
VIP Talk, Vegas... Inside the Red Velvet Ropes. There's
sounds like a show on Skinamax.
Yeah. I had my friend Lisa Love, she's a Raiders cheerleader now, worked with me.
I'm listening.
She worked with me at Omnia, still works there. I legit shot like 100 names at her. Every time she would just stare at me and like, please no.
Yeah.
And then one day I got home from work at like 4 a.m. and somebody was like, hey, can you put me on the guest list tomorrow? And I was like, oh my God, there it is.
Yeah, that's
there
great.
It is.
No, I think it's a perfect name. The guest list is fantastic because it kind of, it works all around for.
Yeah. I wanted something close to Vegas, but not like Vegas cliche that everyone tries to talk with like about like slot machines or like even Vital Vegas. It's a great name, but that shows that it's about Vegas. And I want to be a little bit more of the surrounding area, even though in Vegas now, it's kind of morphed into this like exclusivity around everything. There's a guest list for literally every event. There's red velvet robes.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to feel like a VIP of some nature. But I wanted to focus on the people of Vegas because there's so many cool people. I keep moving out here. Like you just popped up here about 9 months ago or a year ago.
Yeah. I did. Have you ever done any athletes yet? Any?
Not yet. I'm working on it to get some raters. It's like when you're doing a podcast that's in a city, you're kind of like climbing this social hierarchy when you didn't have a name, where then you get some people on and they're like, oh, Butch was on, I'll come on. Or, oh, I had on one of the Fertitas. Like, oh, I'll come on, you know, or
you can get some snobs and they're like, who have you had on?
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I got it.
Yeah. But what I've come to find out though is the majority of people online that have some sort of success, whether you rate their success with their followers or their engagement or their personality, most people are very accepting and will respond at some point.
Yeah.
As long as you show some sort of interest, which isn't just like something super creepy, which a lot of people like to send out, or just saying like, hi, how are you? Like nobody's got time to respond to a normal conversation like that. But if it's engaging.
What's some podcasts that you like to listen to?
Joe Rogan's one that I listen to fairly often. He's kind of like my go-to. If there's nothing on, then I'll listen to him because the way that he commands a conversation and so natural. It's like I really study him. Before I started the podcast, I watched his first like 10 all the way through, and then like
1 through 10, really
straight through because I wanted to see how he grew. But then I've probably watched maybe like 700 of his podcasts, really trying to just understand like how he's progressed and filler words that he's used. Like now he rarely ever says or and, but beforehand it was prevalent throughout his entire conversation. I like Lex Friedman. I'm more on like the definitely single podcaster, long format.
What about Jordan Peterson? You ever listen to him?
Jordan was cool. I haven't listened to him in a little while since he went through his benzodiazepine
You had a problem?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, he
coming from that guy?
Yeah, his wife was in the hospital and apparently almost died, and so he got hooked on benzos and.
No shit. Yeah. What does benzos do to you?
It's like I'm pretty sure it's like a Xanax kind of thing.
So it just relaxes you?
It's like a relaxing, slows your heart down. I might be wrong, so for all those drug users out there, apologize. Never done some benzos before.
I haven't either. Nothing. I've smoked weed. I've done like fucking blow or that's about it.
That's blow's most popular drug by choice out here in Vegas for sure. I get asked about it constantly.
Do you really?
Constantly. Yeah. Not as much now that I don't work on the strip, but the majority of the time it's like, hey, can you find blow for me?
That's annoying.
And when we work at the nightclub now, they're very strict on it. So you have to report it to security.
Do you really?
And it's awkward though, because if your guest at the table who's tipping you money asks you for drugs, you have to report them and then they get kicked out. Therefore you lose your tip.
And don't they could look at you and be like, why am I getting kicked out?
Yeah. But the thing in Vegas and nightclubs, they have secret shoppers who come in and purposely ask you for drugs, but they're employed by one of the agencies out here in Las Vegas.
So you're fucked if you do and fucked if you don't?
Yeah. It puts you in like this awkward situation out
Who
there.
are these fucking people that want that job too? Like, let's go in and tattle.
Yeah, no kidding. My friend used to work for secret shoppers, and they would give him $3,000 to spend, and you'd go spend it, and you'd pretend to be a normal guest, but then you'd be asking like creepy questions. You'd be vetting them to see if like if they have like good dialogue with you, if they're friendly.
See, that's annoying too, because you're trying to go in and just fucking do your job and feed your family, and now you got fucking Tim from fucking the CCP coming over here trying to fucking come at you.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but Coke was by far the most prevalent drug out here of choice, maybe because it's like the rich man drug, or it keeps you awake, or inflate. In Vegas, people like to inflate their ego, no matter how they are. That's why people come in and spend $50,000 at the nightclub or $100,000 because
they want to keep the party going. So
and they want the attention on them at all.
What if I asked you for Adderall?
Right.
Do I get kicked out?
any drug they want that. Any drug, any drug of choice. And people are fearful because they don't want to get fired because those jobs are pay really well.
High paying jobs for sure. Yeah, my lady used to get paid big time cash. So
do you ever go out to nightclubs or day clubs?
No, I'm too old. No,
never too old. I see guys in there in their 70s.
I don't know. I got asked to go to Encore Beach Club last Sunday, and I was like, I got the baby to watch, and I'm like, maybe when she's a little bit older, or like she can go play at her friend's house or sleep over. I don't know. Right now I'm more focused on art and comedy and making money. That's all I give a fuck about. I don't have a lot of time to go out and party. Don't have a lot of time. I want to do comedy. I want to go on the road and I want to work. That's what I care about.
I've noticed that obviously family is very important, but some of the acts that I've seen you bring up family situations, which is hilarious.
It's all new bits because before, I mean, I was pretty vulgar. I used to, I was a single guy and I'd talk about my balls a lot and shit like that, like kind of hack comedy. But it was stuff that I thought was funny for me. But now I talk a lot about, being a dad and what kind of dad will I be? And will I want to hang out with her boyfriends because I don't have any more guy friends, like, you know what I mean? Like what kind of fucking dad am I going to be? Like, am I going to be the dad that has like the bumper sticker on his car that says like this fucking minivan runs on like Bud Light and pussy juice or something like, like something stupid shit. And I'd probably put that shit on my car. Like, you're a dad. I just got a pair of Crocs. Like I did it.
Do you have New Balances?
I do not. But I did have them at one point, and they're super uncomfortable. I'm more of a Nike guy.
Okay.
So, but I did get Crocs for the house. Not wearing them out because my lady goes, "You can get them," because she's like, because I always embarrass her. I always wear stupid shit. And she goes, "Can you just like wear those out? Can you just wear those in the house?" And I'm like, "Fucking, I get it. It's fine. It's fine." So, yeah, I don't know. Being a new dad is cool. I mean, we never wanted kids. I never wanted a kid. I'm still a fucking kid. Like when I paint, she sits outside with me because I have my whole studio is like inside and outside. And, yeah, she'll just sit there and watch me. And so it's pretty cool. It's very different from how I used to paint. It was a lot of white wine and then a lot of Adderall. And nothing any harder than that really. But I mean, I was kind of a wild man. I used to have like a day bed out on my patio. So like people would come over and we'd all drink and hang out. And then sometimes I'd have a girl over when I'd sit and paint and whatever. So good times in early 30s, that's for sure.
So how would you describe your creative process when it comes to comedy?
I don't know. I just think of stuff like I put it all on my notes in my phone and it's just like lists and lists and lists of stuff. And predominantly I would say 1 out of 20 jokes work. So you're literally going up there just bombing. Like I'll go to 18 Ben on like Tuesday night and Mike Tran, who's a sweetheart of a guy. I will go in there and just go in there and I'm like, can I go up and just do like 15 minutes of like just, shit material? And he's like, yeah, man, dude, whatever you got to do. Then I'll go over to Artifice and I'll go over and do 15 minutes of another garbage material. But by the time I get over to Artifice, I can already work on those shit jokes to make them something over at Artifice. So you got shit here, and then you have a little bit of shit here, and then you take it to LA Comedy Club, and it's like 75% not much shit anymore, and then it's like polished off when you take it other places. So the process in itself is really fun, but most of the time I hate listening to my material, and I hate watching myself on stage. I have to watch it like a week later.
Self-modeling is always so cringe.
It's hard. Like I feel like I'm talking already so fast because I just downed that fucking iced coffee, and I'm like, am I talking too fast?
Yeah, you have to when you're reviewing your own material, you kind of have to look at yourself objectively as like
and the person, gentle.
Yeah, and the person that you're watching isn't you. Yeah, almost.
Yep.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess the process is, it's fun, but then also sometimes like a new booker, like you go to a new club and like a booker's there and he wants to sit and watch your act. And you're like, fuck, I wanted to do like 2 new bits and I got to fucking do all the shit that I know works, but it's not as fun. Because sometimes when you do a new bit and it's starting to work and you can tell the crowd is really liking it, you're like, holy shit, dude, I can't wait to do this again. Mm-hmm. It's just, the whole process in itself is fun. It's not as fun when you do art, but I would say the reason why I love stand-up comedy is because you get instant gratification or you get instant rejection. There's really no in between. You know what I mean?
The crickets.
Or you get like, oh, and you're like, you're not going for,
Do you try to watch yourself with your articulation of thoughts when it comes to a non-PC jokes? Because
I had to be PC for Dimitri's thing. So I was saying like F that and F this. I never say F that or F that. If I'm going to say fuck that, I say fuck that. Mm-hmm. But they asked me to be clean. So I had to send them clean material too. They go, Dimitri's manager wants to see if you have clean material. I said, sure. So I sent them like the baby where I'm shushing her and I'm putting her to sleep and then I throw her away. Right. So I sent them that and they're like, that's great. Perfect. Just don't swear. So I couldn't swear. He gets on stage and he said the F-bomb like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
It's the headliner.
It's his show, so I guess you can tell the middle act whatever the fuck you want. So.
Yeah. When I listen to a bunch of comedians talk through their podcasts or through Twitter, they say that it's the comedy scene shifting more towards the left, which sucks because now you have like bloggers out there and stuff who will just dissect every word that you said and
it's just
try to take things out of context.
It's a lot of people that wish they could do what you do, and they can't. So what they do is they just try to crush you because they hate themselves. So kind of like what's going on in politics these days. You know what I mean?
It's unfortunate. Everything tries to be politicized in some nature, but comedy is supposed to be that safe space where you can say whatever you want, and
I don't know, man.
There should be no offense taken.
A lot of people now, even with your tweets, you can get fired for a tweet. What? Like what? What happened to freedom of speech? You can't anymore. You have to delete your whole fucking Twitter handle. Otherwise, I remember when I was going for SNL, and I used to do my own YouTube channel show called Making Yogurt with Brady Matthews. And one of my buddies, Santino, came on it, and I made him put like poop on his face, but it looked like blackface. And it was a segment called "You Have Poop on Your Face," and then you tell a shitty joke. It's so stupid. I mean, the whole thing about the show really made no sense. It was like Pee-wee's Playhouse for fucking retards. Like, it was so stupid. I don't even know if I can say retard. But like, yeah. So he called me up, and he was going back for SNL to meet with Lauren. And he goes, "My manager and agent saw that, and you got to take my episode down." I was like, "Fuck, dude, shit, that's funny." But it looks like he has blackface.
Yeah.
So you can't do that, right? So I don't know. I remember I went for SNL and I did an Obama impression, and I put black makeup on my face. Yeah, I had to delete that. I forgot about it. It was like 2013. Some girl's like, "Oh, real nice, you racist son of a bitch," and I'm like, "It was an impression. It was an impression. Jimmy Fallon did it. Jimmy Kimmel did it. So that's why I did it." I wasn't going because I'm like, fuck Obama because he's black.
Yeah.
What? Like, what? No, it was an impression. It was a joke. It was an impression. So I don't know. You're gonna have to edit all part of this shit out.
I don't edit anything, so I've actually not edited one conversation yet. I refuse to. Good. I've had a few guests come back and message me and say, "Hey, can you remove this part?" And so I'd rather just not post the episode.
No.
It's up to you.
Yeah, no.
Like I refuse to do that. But before I started the podcast, I definitely went back through my Twitter account and deleted probably like 50
You have
tweets.
to.
I had to. I was like, there's no way. I started my Twitter account when I was like a sophomore in high school.
Right. So sometimes you would pop off or like talk shit to somebody or some bullshit or like retweet something that maybe isn't totally politically correct. And then you're like, fuck.
And what a lot of people don't realize too is when back before like 2010 or 11, when you're on Twitter, it was all through text messaging and phones. Yeah. So it was more conversation because you would get a text message of your friend tweeting something and then you would just talk shit back to them. Totally. It was like a public text message.
Totally.
More than just like voicing your opinion out to this giant discourse of, I don't know, fucking archaic action.
Right.
Oh, it's terrible.
It was.
Are you on Twitter?
I am. Yeah, at Brady Matthews 32. So... But I think I'm going to get rid of it soon. It's fucking trash. Every time I wake up and I look at Twitter, I'm like, oh, I want to go throw up. It's just so bad. There's so much just...
You on TikTok?
No. I can't do I don't know. I just can't get into it.
I was the same way.
I can't get into it. If that's what's going to make or break me, then go fuck it. I mean, it just does nothing for me. TikTok does nothing for me. Instagram is okay. Because I can get on there for a couple minutes and then get the fuck off too. I can't do social media a whole lot anymore. I go in, I post my stuff, and then I get the fuck out because otherwise it's depressing. It's so depressing. You know what I mean?
I was never a big Instagram fan, but I found a stat that was 7 out of 10 people prefer Instagram over any other social media platform.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that central hub where when somebody looks you up, they're either going to put your name into Google, YouTube, or Instagram to see what pops up.
Or DuckDuckGo now.
DuckDuckGo. Yeah, I have DuckDuckGo. Do you use Brave browser?
All day.
Yeah. Okay. You're already halfway to crypto.
Yep. Am I?
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Yeah. My buddy got me in on it, and I was like, all right. Because Google's so just fucking, it's so skewed and it's so one-sided.
Isn't it crazy once you look up something on DuckDuckGo, everything that pops up underneath, you're like, wow, I've been censored my entire life.
Dude, totally. You Google something and it's like, this is what you're going to see, and that's it.
Yeah.
Google's terrifying. Google's scary. Twitter's scary. YouTube's now censoring tons of shit.
Dude, my YouTube account got terminated like 2 weeks ago. out of
insane.
nowhere. They just deleted it. I'd never been flagged once. They just deleted it. And
I'm sitting here going, if we're not careful, it's called communism. It's coming. And people are like, that's crazy. What are you talking about? I'm like, dude, why would they censor all this stuff if they don't want you to know the truth?
Yeah, we're living in a technocratic society.
100%. Too much power.
Politicians are leveraging their words through the private tech companies to censor people. But it was a scary thought once when they deleted my YouTube account. I mean, granted, I only have like 600 subscribers. I only have like 600 subscribers, but like all that work, you're just like, oh my God.
So they just completely deleted it.
They just deleted it. They never told me what the issue was. And then I looked through Google. I had a friend help me to figure out like how we get it back. And for what most people say is that you have to get somebody's attention from YouTube through some sort of channel.
Right.
So obviously I sent in an email, I post on the forum, but I think what did it was you tag team or YouTube team support or something like that. And then you just get a bunch of people to retweet it because then it brings their attention.
Interesting.
And from what most people have told me, it generally takes about a week for them to fix it. They fixed mine in 12 hours.
Oh, cool. So you got it back?
Yeah, so I got it back. I had texted a bunch of local YouTubers and influencers to help share the news, and within 12 hours they put it back up, but they never told me what the issue was. They just said that we figured out that you did not violate our terms, and so we're reinstating your account.
Maybe someone knew you personally and they're like, fuck this guy.
Yeah. my guess is that it was taken down by some algorithmic bot. I have some crypto stuff on there, and I know they've been censoring crypto people.
Yep.
So that's my guess, but then you never know. We're kind of stuck.
The crypto whole thing, they don't want anyone to really know anything about it.
Yeah.
Because, digital currency is not where they want you to go at all.
At all.
You know, they want you to be predominant on the dollar.
They want to try it.
Or not predominant, but yeah.
Yeah, they want you to use a dollar. They want you to use their centralized systems.
Nope.
They want you to stay in control. But
yep.
I don't know what we're going to see in the future. All I know is like we just get to continue creating content.
I know.
Being a comedian. You know, one of
Get a gun. Grab a gun. Buy one. It helps.
If I wanted if I wanted to perform one stand-up comedic act in my entire life, this is actually something I wrote in a blog on my MySpace back in like a high school. Was like one of my lifetime goals is to perform one stand-up act, whether it's 20 minutes. I know an hour can take literally years to get that done.
Very hard.
How would you suggest I go about doing this?
Go just to open mics and just take dumps on just eat shit and just meet people and then also study comedians that you like. The thing you'll notice about stand-up comedy is if you really believe that joke is really funny, like if you really believe that, you won't be insecure on stage. You'll just go, nope, this is funny, and I already know this is funny. Like me shushing my baby is not really that funny. But the whole process of where I have to put her and then making those noises and then almost killing her. But I was like kind of okay with maybe if she died, I don't want her, but I obviously don't want her to die. But like if she, she happened to stop breathing, we would try for number 2. So like, but like, just stuff like if you go up and talk about it, you just have your little quick hits here and there. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But once you get that taste of a joke that actually you're like, oh shit, this is mine and this works and no one knows about this, you were going to want to keep going and find different spots to go do it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Open mics for sure. Yeah. One day I'm going to do it.
If you ever want to, a guy to talk to, and I'll even go with you if you need to.
Yeah. Hold my hand a little bit. We'll drink some coffee, do some Adderall.
Sure. I don't know if we want to do coffee and Adderall, but
I'll have you paint in the background so that it's not as,
I'll paint what you're talking about. It's just a mess.
It's aesthetically pleasing, but it's mentally displeasing.
Yeah.
I have one final question for you before we get out of here. Same question I ask everybody.
Yeah.
What does Las Vegas mean to you?
Good times. As stupid as that sounds. Good times. Vegas to me means opportunity. Good times and opportunity. It's what you make of it. So I would say, good times and opportunity. And I'm just super happy to be here. And I get to meet people like you, and I think the sky's the limit. It feels like I got another chance at what I love to do.
Another wind.
Yeah, for sure.
Another wind out here.
Yep.
Most common answer is actually opportunity.
Really?
Yeah. Everyone comes here and knows that this is just like the land of opportunity. You can be whoever you want because the community is so small.
You can do a startup. You can do at some point in my life, I'd like to own my own comedy club and just get old and sit back and watch comedy. And I know what's good and I know who's fake and shitty. And I grew up basically in a comedy club, so I think I would like to own my own comedy club someday.
Have you talked to Pauly Shore down here with Wise Guys that they're opening up?
I know Pauly, but I don't really talk to Pauly.
They're opening up a comedy club
Wise
right
Guys.
here. Yeah, Wise Guys.
Hopefully I can get in there soon, but I'm gonna have to network in there too because I've never been part of the Wise Guys community. So they have like branches, you know. So we'll see. Yeah,
almost there. Where do I send all the listeners and viewers to follow you along your journey, learn more, watch your videos, etc.?
You can find me on YouTube at Brady Matthews Comedy. You can find my art at bradymatthewsart.com. And then if you want to find me on Instagram, it's at Brady Matthews 13. And if you want to see some of my old podcasts, because I'm going to try, thanks to you, to start my old podcast back up. But if you want to start and listen to the old ones, it's My First with Brady Matthews.
And what day at Life is Beautiful are you performing? Do you know yet?
September 15th to the 17th.
Oh, you're doing multiple acts?
Yeah. And then I'll be in Chicago at the Comedy Bar at the end of August. And then I'll be in Nashville at the Comedy Bar September 5th to the 7th.
Fuck yeah. I'll definitely be there at Life is Beautiful, cheering you on, saying, I know him.
Yeah, dude. Please.
I know
It'll
him.
be great. And I'll be with all my comedy buddies that are way more successful than I am.
Yeah. Brady, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited that we'll bring you back at some point. I'm gonna be out at all your shows and excited to see you grow and eventually stay out here in Vegas as everyone always does.
I think I'll be here for the long run. So thank you for having me.
Thank you guys for listening. We'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.